Hello, everyone. Happy 11/11. And I'm so excited to be here with Daniel Mangena. I could talk today.
Too
Oh,
much energy, Anistara, too much energy.
gosh, right? The frequency is so high today. It really
Exactly.
is. So, Daniel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what is Dream with Dan?
Oh, well, I'm a wanderer, traveler, learner. They call me a teacher, but I guess I just watching my experience mirror back to me and dancing with that on a day-to-day basis. I get to speak, I get to write. I've been dubbed an abundance activator, and I'm
Ah,
really excited for the opportunity to open up a space for this portal, this energy,
hmm,
to be the ultimate high vibe activator for the abundance that's our natural birthright. I'm based in Cabo, from East London in the UK. I've got a beautiful family that I love dearly, and just really happy to be here with you guys today.
wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I would love to know more about what you mean by you've been dubbed an abundance activator. I took one of those tests recently, and
Yeah,
I've been dubbed a master manifester. In human design, I'm
what?
a manifesting generator.
Got
And so
you.
when I visualize something, I'll see it 3, 5, 10 years out, and I
Mhm.
know where this is going. And so I'm just so excited to have you here for our second virtual event. So tell us a little
Amazing.
bit more about what that means for you.
So for me, when I talk about abundance, what I'm really
Mhm.
talking about is my needs being met with sufficient space for overflow over and above that. When we look at nature, and this is what I just want everyone to take a pause to remember, when you look at nature, that is all that happens. The only time that doesn't happen in nature is when human egos come in and human
Mhm.
fears come in, human
Mm.
scarcity, the battle between egos and ideas. It's a very human concept. In nature, whenever there's a lack, something comes in and fills a place, fills a space.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whenever even humans come and knock something out of equilibrium, nature comes in and makes sure that everything's taken care of. When something dies out, anything that was feeding ends up evolving and being able to adapt to go and feed on something else. That's the way that nature works.
Yeah.
Part and parcel of what's happened with us as we've drifted into all of our technology and all of our egoic ideas and all of our belief that we don't need anything bigger than ourselves, has been that we've lost touch of that
Mm.
natural groove, that natural flow with nature, and our fear and our scarcity, and that come in and start to pull up from the places where that exists. Look what we do with indigenous tribes, right?
Mm.
Look what we do with our plundering of Mother Earth so that we can have the latest Dubry what's it. This is what happens. So what I'm really passionate about is having people come back to a memory, not to learn, not to take on, not to step into, to remember that
Mhm.
natural birthright of abundance.
Mm.
And by doing that, embodying it, and I truly believe that a lot of the challenges and issues that we have on earth come from us being out of memory of that, and that stepping back into memory of that will solve many of the challenges that we've created with our egos.
Ah, wow, so beautifully put.
Mm.
Yes, indeed. And honestly too, so something that's really worked for me in my life as well is to remember through that law of attraction that it's the attitude of gratitude, right?
Mhm.
It's the feeling of actually already having what it is that I desire or see in the future, and
Mhm.
really sitting in that vibration and that frequency that it's already done.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
commanded it and it is done.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
could
Mhm.
you speak a little bit further to that?
Sure. I think one of the truths that sits on the reality that we live in, because there's reality and our
Mm-hmm.
perspectives and our lenses, and there's truth,
Mm.
which just is. Time doesn't exist at a level of truth.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a succession of nows that through our lens we see as being, oh, the present, the future, all the things, but all that we really have is now. So because all that's now, all that is now, everything that I'm calling in, everything I'm seeking to create in the future is already here. So
Mm-hmm.
the attitude of gratitude isn't actually going out to appreciate something that is to come. It's
Right.
accepting the nowness of what
Mm-hmm.
already is. And that viewpoint, that perspective of truth, seeing from that perspective of truth, actually allows us to truly embody and connect and accept and have appreciation for and feel in our body and get into the groove of, because I'm not imagining it, I'm not making believe, I'm not faking it until I make it. I'm honoring the truth that it
Yes.
is already here now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Claiming it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big portion of our name change this year. We were 1111 Unify,
Mm-hmm.
and we moved through the portal of the attempt to unify and just claiming that we are unified. You know,
So
that
much
that
power in
is
that.
the truth,
So much
right?
power in that. So much power
Yeah,
in that.
exactly. So, can you tell us a little bit about your dream with Dan? I
Mm-hmm.
know that you have a lot of followers, you have a lot of people that you work with and
Mm-hmm.
coaching. So, give us a little taste as to what it is that you're, or how you're being in the world. What are you doing?
Well, seeing as we're here on 1111 and I'm with you, beautiful humans, we can just jump down the rabbit hole with this.
Yes,
All right?
please.
So, everything that I share has got different levels of depth to it because not everybody's ready to be there, but we make it available for them to step in at where they are. Ultimately, for just skip right to the end of this, when we look at reality is a malleable experience, much like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And those watching are probably familiar with the idea of lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Lucid dreaming is simply playing in another level of consciousness through that lens of malleability. But that same malleability that exists in a dream state also is available to us at this level of consciousness too. It's just a different construct because it's a different level of density, it's a different construct. There are different rules that hold this fiber of reality together. But if we take even some of the core principles of a lucid dream and start to apply them to the waking state, which is still a dream within itself,
Right.
then we can start to see and witness the same dominion and agency that we might play with in a lucid dream available in our everyday lives. So my catchphrase, dream with your eyes open, at its depth is live life as it is, which is a walking lucid dream experience that you can mold and shape with your intention. And that's what we do.
I love that. And you just spoke to intention. I know that intention is such an important thing when we are creating abundance around us. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure thing. So when I define an intention, what I'm actually talking about is anything that disrupts whatever the program is I'm running right now. When we look at the mind, which is a beautiful agent given to us by the divine in order to facilitate us operating with a lot more ease. Did you tell your heart to beat just now? I didn't. That was the divinely given gift of the unconscious executing its task perfectly of telling my heart to beat, my lungs to breathe, the telomeres to keep growing and replicating, the cells to die from. Everything's operating without my conscious thought. It's all operating at that level. However, what's ended up happening is over time, as we've slipped further away from our divinity and more into the dense matter that's around us, we've lost sight of the role of the mind and given it a lot more power because we've not accepted that responsibility and stepped into the divinity that's available to us to direct what's going on. And so, for most of us, the number is somewhere like 97% of the time, we're operating purely at the unconscious level. And then the numbers are roughly 70% of that unconscious program was fed to you without your conscious involvement between the ages of 2 and 7 or 8. And so in that window of time, the environment that you're in was setting the landscape, ordering your steps, if you will, for what you're going to experience as an adult. Now, yes, does that mean that, oh, I've got some program? Yeah, we've all got them. But again, the power of this lucid dream that we're in right now is that whatever has come before no longer is. What I said 5 minutes ago is drifted back into the dream. It's no longer real anymore. All we have is now. And there's nothing predetermined beyond the now, aside from that which my program accepts as being predetermined. And intentionality is a divinely given gift for us to disrupt whatever that program is and to exercise agency in what we're going to create going forward.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, please. More of that. It's interesting that you mentioned the age group because my son, he's 6.
My stepdaughter was about to turn 6.
Really sweet. Yeah. And it's such a malleable age. And at the same time, he remembers his past lives. He will. I was in the kitchen once and I did something and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Cadence," or I'm sorry, Cadence. And he's like, "It's okay, Mom. I used to do it when I was your mother."
Mm-hmm.
or we were in the garden not long ago, and he
Mm-hmm.
was digging, and I was transplanting something. He said, "Mom, I used to be a really good gardener in one of my past lives. Why don't you step aside and let me do that for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he just like do, just did it so quickly. And he said to me once, he said, "I used to be a really good woodworker." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "What did you build?" And he said, "Well, mostly children's toys." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"What was your favorite thing to build?" He said, "Rocking horses."
Mm-hmm.
And so we like him to develop and cultivate his connection to source because it's
Mm-hmm.
still clear,
Mm-hmm.
right? He hasn't moved into this moment where there's a trauma or something that pulls you away from your
Mm-hmm.
source, and then the programming really starts.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been very fortunate that he has been in private schooling or unschooling situations, and so it's something that we like to cultivate. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as an adult, is there
Mm-hmm.
something that you can speak to us around how we can reconnect to our source energy and really come from that place of remembering
Mm-hmm.
our abundance or whatever it is?
Well, first and foremost, I want to celebrate you for having
Hmm.
just crafted an environment that's been conducive for your little guy not getting lost in the matrix,
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
Um, because whether we like it or not, we're always going to receive a program because it's part and parcel of the construct of reality.
Hmm.
And as parents, I mean, my baby's he's 10 and a half months old right now. And so
Oh, congratulations.
thank you. Uh, whether I like it or not, that's how we learned to chew. I remember when he first started eating real food. And at first he's
Hmm.
like, what's this? I don't get it. And now he's like learning that your mouth is too small for a whole grape. Like, have half a grape, right? Right. Or like he got like a tomato and he's like, I'm going to have the whole thing. But he's learning. And at first he was like choking a little bit because he was trying to put too much in
Uh-huh.
his mouth. And he's learning. And now he's learning to walk. And he's obsessed with walking and wanting to run everywhere. But I didn't teach him, hey, take a leg and do that. We're perfect machines at looking at the environment and bringing
Yeah.
in. That's how he's going to learn to speak. My wife's
Yeah.
Russian descent, which was born in Russia, so she speaks Russian with him. We have a
Mm.
nanny that helps in the house. She speaks Spanish with him. I
Hmm.
speak English. So
Hmm.
how is he learning to speak? By bringing these in and attaching meaning inside
Yep.
his mind. We all were born with an unfettered connection to source,
Hmm.
but as we become more connected to the matrix and plug in a little bit more,
Hmm.
those programs coming in are telling us what's real and
Hmm.
what's not. Stop,
Hmm.
stop with the imagination. You can't do that. The words that we're using in the environment are programming these little guys. And I think all of us, not even just as parents, but as guardians of all the children around us,
Yeah.
whether that's the kid that's on the bus or the train or the airplane, because the entirety of the environment is being soaked in. They're these little sponges, and it's not even the words, it's the energy. You
Hmm.
could run around saying, I'm
Hmm.
Anistara, I'm about that life and blah, blah, blah. But the truth of your energy would ring through and be what the kid is going to
Of
take on.
course.
And so the
Yeah.
truth of so this is a testament to the fact that you're living your truth
Mm.
because that's what he's taken on. That's what he's observing. That's what he's then putting out. And then you're supporting and nourishing that with how you're responding to him.
Mm-hmm.
Not,
Mm-hmm.
oh, don't be silly, or, oh, yeah, past life. You're engaging with him. You're
Oh,
teasing
I
it out and
do.
giving him the opportunity to speak into it.
Yeah.
That's available to us as adults too.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go into my story quite quickly,
Sure. Yeah.
I made and lost 2 multi-million-pound fortunes by the age of 23 years old. Right? The second time that I lost everything, I got taken out of the game. I lost my will to live. I lost all sense of identity. The only reason why I didn't make an active suicide attempt is because I had such little self-belief. I thought I would fail, and I didn't want to be the loser who couldn't even commit suicide right now.
Oh
That's
no.
the only reason why I didn't make an attempt. But here's the thing. I went off and said, I'm going to work out what was wrong with my manifesting, which is a new word. Back then, it's my conscious creating, with my reality creation, so that I can pull off my suicide and not fail. That was my mission. However, I then spent a couple of years doing nothing but reading content, listening to tapes, exploring things to understand what had gone wrong. I was late diagnosed with Asperger's, so I hadn't had my diagnosis yet.
Mm.
But thank you, it's because of how my brain's wired that I couldn't make the impulsive decision. And also, I went off on this mission because there was this big gap that I needed to fill. But then
Mm.
all of my inputs my environment became positively polluted, and that rewired me until I woke up one day a few years later and realized, oh my goodness, I don't have that impulse anymore. I've actually been working on recreating my life. The thing is that people are going off to create something that they're not really committed to. And people aren't going to be happy to hear that. But the truth is, if you are committed to it, then your environment will reflect that, because you'll be making choices to cultivate an environment that supports it. Most of us are still blaming people. We're having conversations that are not befitting of the divinity that we're claiming to step into. We're watching, listening to, consuming, and having an environment that's just not positively polluted, but polluted by pulling us further and further away from our divinity instead of supporting it. Whereas if we started to look at diet that makes us feel high vibe, no judgment on what that diet is for you. For some people, it's vegan. I've seen people with keto. I've seen people with fruitarian. Whatever it is that lights you up and has you in high vibe, do that.
Yeah.
Why are you having conversations with people that you're feeling drained by afterwards?
Whoa, that's big for me right now.
Right? Why are you watching things that are giving you nightmares? Why are you listening to music that makes you feel sad instead of music that's lifting you up? We're in an information age right now. Every single piece of information that you can think of is available to you at the click of your fingers, and yet we're squandering that with junk content, junk data. I invite everybody, go and curate your feed right now on your social media accounts, if you're even on there. Go and curate your feed and ask yourself, is this content supporting the vision that I have for my life? Is this content speaking truth into me? Is this content breathing life into me? Is this content supporting me being a divine agent of abundance in my reality? And if not, get rid of it, because you are still as you were when you were younger. It's just now you've got an analytical mind that's involved too, but you are still taking in hypnotically very much most of the time an environment that's either reinforcing or disrupting a story that is becoming the reality that you're living every single day.
Oh, so well put. Yeah. And I do want to circle back to something that you said about the blame, because I find that these days, so much of the social media and the constructs and the algorithms, it's all operating in whenever there's a thread that involves an argument, more people see it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the human drama. And so blame, shame, criticism, and people are mean behind those keyboards. I mean, we were just reflecting on it the other day. If we were still standing at a festival in a circle of us, those people wouldn't be speaking to each other that way. But now that so much has gone virtual, people are, just, yeah, exactly. And I almost want to like, can we cancel clear? Is there something that we can bring into the conversation here really about how to move from blame, shame, and criticism into love and compassion and empathy?
You have to want it.
Yeah.
You have to want it.
That's
and
very
the fact is, so many of us have spent so much time displacing responsibility for our reality and what we're creating into other people's hands. We're addicted to the payoff of that. And we are scared of what's going to happen if we have to take responsibility, because then I can't say my mum's responsible. I can't blame whoever is or is not in the presidential seat, no matter what your country is, right? I can't say it's because this or because that. I have to take responsibility. But there's an unknown there, because most of us have never done that. If you look at the education system, for example, current education system is designed around the Victorian age workhouse. They have you sit in rows, you listen to a bell, you come in and out a certain time. They teach you when you're going to eat, when you're going to have your nap. They train. We're taught to give our kids, I know some people give their kids over to these institutions as young as a year or two. And in pre-K. So they're getting programmed to be little sheeple. Who are getting ready. They're not teaching us to think for ourselves, because someone that thinks for themselves might break free from the matrix. We're taught to do this.
Oh, you're suddenly diagnosed with ADHD because you can't sit still at a desk. You can't sit
still because you won't listen to their program. So
because you're creative
on you and make you less than, which then goes in and becomes a program, and then you're given the labels, and then it's a thing. Versus agency.
Mm.
which is available to us, but it does demand us breaking the addiction, regardless of where it came from, making the conscious choice, the intention to break the addiction to those stories, to those narratives, to those ways of being, and step up to the plate and to take responsibility for a life. But you need to want it. There has to be a big enough desire for you to be in your divine state, for you to break bonds with the stories of blame, of beating yourself up, of guilt, of shame, of more of the same. But the desire must be there.
Yeah, I'm listening to Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being You. I listened to Becoming Supernatural not long ago, but a large portion of what he speaks of is that chemically, like neurologically, we and hormone wise, we're addicted to the hormones of feeling, being right, criticizing, blame, all the things that we might have received in our childhood, or things that like activate you and get you into this fight, flight, freeze mode because it's stimulating to our system. And so, yeah, can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, first and foremost, love Dr. Joe. I got introduced to his work 6 or 7 years ago. Been going to his live events for about half a decade now.
Wonderful.
And one of the key differences, for example, with the practice of meditation as he teaches it, is that it is actually got not just the spiritual touch-in element, but also addresses, through the way that they're constructed, the neurology as well.
Yeah, the science of it.
Right? So it's addressing the neurology in the brain. There's also the heart coherence aspect of it. Practices such as that are great at affording us the opportunity to break free, even in the midst of seemingly unsurmountable circumstances in terms of the wiring and programming that we've received. But the powerful message behind that is the story doesn't have to remain that you've been running on. The excuses don't have to be the narrative that you're playing from. We do have teachers out there, leaders out there, activators out there, opening us up to doing something different at the deep level that must facilitate us actually having the change that is available to us. There is no excuse, regardless of what the story is. There is no excuse, unless you want to accept it as an excuse, in which case no judgment, but then don't complain about it. Just do it and be quiet.
Are you familiar with the Landmark Forum Curriculum for Life?
I'm not familiar with it personally, but I have a number of friends who have been through that, and so I'm familiar with some of the ideas, but I've never been through it myself.
So one of the distinctions I wanted to bring in here was the fact that they have this concept where you have what happened, and then you have your story of what happened.
I've heard of that.
Right. And then you have your current story of what happened, all the emotions and the way that it stirs you up. And there's this cycle of like, what happened, your story, what happened, your story, what happened, your story. And if you actually surrender and release the story, there's only what happened. I was raped. I was this, I was that. And there doesn't have to be any charge around it.
No.
And it's like instantaneous healing. It's really incredible. And so is there a way that you have guided some of your coaching clients in surrendering and releasing the stories?
So funny that this just ties into a Dr. Joe Dispenza quote that I love. It's one of my favorite Dr. J quotes. It's wisdom is memory without the emotional charge. So
love that.
The emotional charge is not required for me to have the wisdom of the experience, because a lot of the time, and I'm sure people started to feel resistance in when the program started to kick in, listening to you say that. But what about wisdom does not require the emotional charge in order for me not to make the same mistakes, not to be around the same people, not to make the same choices. It doesn't require the emotional charge. I can have the memory, take the data from it, and allow that to empower me to make new choices going forward.
Yes.
So
love that.
The two are separatable without the stories that people normally. But what about the? Yeah, you can have the wisdom without the emotional charge. But again, the emotional charge, generally, what we're talking about, being triggered by the environment, being triggered by a stimulus that relates to the memory.
Yeah.
A big part of it is coming to an understanding of the separation between the emotional charge. And again, I've been through trauma, right? I get it. It's not. We're not saying, oh, just wave a magic wand. It's 11:11. You're free of your trauma. There's a work to it, right?
Of course there is, yes.
But guess what? If you step up and really step into your agency and claim that as an outcome, if you're ready to be in your agency, this is one of the steps, 4 steps of beyond intention, my paradigm, ready to step into responsibility, that even if you don't quite believe it yet, an easy place to start is this, what I call common denominator theory. Regardless of what someone else's role is, there is still only one common thread in every experience in your life. That's you. So if you want to have change, starting with you, which nobody else has responsibility for except for you, means that there must be a shift, no matter what the degree. And any shift, no matter how small, when focused on, can expand and create more of the same. Some people have been, we live in a world with humans that do some dark stuff, right? This is truth. This is what it is.
Yeah.
1111 doesn't take that away, right? Magic fairy dust and stuff doesn't take that away. And people have been subjected to that. I know friends, one of my friends was kidnapped as a small child and subjected to sexual assault in a satanic cult for years until she was rescued. Another one of my friends, not too dissimilar with him. Like, I know firsthand people that have been through some terrible, terrible things. But guess what? It was when they accepted responsibility for the ability to create their reality going forward that change was able to happen, because it is nothing beyond now that's preset and predetermined, apart from that which I have allowed to be a part of my story about what must perpetuate. But pain doesn't have to move beyond now. I think it's Tony Robbins that says change doesn't take time. It's the decision, the choice to make the change that takes time. Change is this. Freedom is this. Healing is this. Abundance is this. But there is a journey that we often find ourselves going through. And for some, it might be a 20-year journey. For some, it might be a 30-year journey. For some, it might be an event. For some, it might be this time spent with us. But if you are committed to it, accepting responsibility for it, and aligning yourself with an environment that supports it, that change must come, because everything there is a combination of those things anyway. Everything in our life is a combination of those things.
Yeah. And, you've said the word responsibility quite a number of times now, and I want to dive down that rabbit hole, because it really is our ability to respond rather than react, right? Because reaction is coming from flight, or freeze. It's coming from our old stories or patterns. One of my friends, she says all the time that it's not the person, it's the pattern. Right. And so how can we break certain patterns and be responsible for what we've created? And again, like you say, making the choice to move forward. So can you dive into what is responsibility to you?
Responsibility for me is accepting agency, doing so consciously and applying it actively. That's what it is for me. And again, coming back to this thing, nothing exists beyond the now. But the thing is that the now that we are unfolding is a result of the choices that we've been making in the nows up until now. And now, here and now, we have the capacity, the opportunity, the gift to make changes into what we are showing up as, so that we will witness a natural unfolding of what we desire going forward. The future is made now. So if I start applying that responsibility now, if I start looking at my environment now, if I start curating that environment now, if I start aligning my spirit, my energy, my focus, my mindset now, there's going to be less for me to do, because the active piece of the puzzle is the final thing anyway. It's the slowest part of the experience. By the time it shows up, the creation's already happened. And yet we're trying to fight the physical reality, fight the people, push against the thing, instead of realizing, hey, if I just paused, took a moment and looked in and asked, what is my vision? What is the heart speaking to me that the divine seeks to experience through me? Am I aligned with that, with what I'm doing, with what I'm thinking and feeling? Is my environment supporting it? Then we'll find that everything going forward unfolds more naturally. Again, I didn't do anything to be the person I am today. It unfolded naturally. I have to enter in with an intention to disrupt that. But what if the program that we're running on was divinely inspired? What if the program that we're running on was abundant joy for the purpose driven? What if the program that we were running on was firing us up and shining our light into the world? And that's available to us, but it can only happen if we make a change now.
I love that. I so love that. Are you ready to make a change now? I am. That's part of the work. That's part of this container that we're co-creating today, because really I was playing with my son the other night, and I just said, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this so that you can have grandchildren. I'm doing this for the children, right?
Mm,
And to see humanity not only survive but to thrive. And
mm,
part of that is really about creating coherence together. So
mm.
earlier you said something about your 4 pillars, and you started saying number 1. Can we go back to that and you could tell us all 4 of them?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I just got a delivery. I just got a delivery the other day of a couple to three. So this is my book, Stepping Beyond Intention, and this is the book that tells the story of my journey back from that dark time and what led into it, and what emerged, which is the Beyond Intention paradigm. These 4 steps. So
Okay.
I'll whiz through the 4 steps. I
Sure.
don't really want to take up too much time going over something people can read on the website, but I'll
Okay.
breeze through them and show how it ties in with what we've been speaking about today. And if people are
Great.
interested in finding out more, then the website's there for them to go and do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do want to make this time that we're spending co-creating today as productive as possible for us,
Sure.
bringing things out that we're bringing together.
Okay.
So Beyond Intention, 4 steps, which are accept, clear, gratitude, and listen. Accept, clear, gratitude, and listen. Now, some of them are what you might think that they are, but there's actually something a bit interesting. If I go backwards, listen really is about listening to ourselves, honoring that we're human. We're not going to be switched on all the time. We're not always going to be ready to make the change. The body might have a bit more resistance to making that movement, but there's always going to be some momentum that we can build. It might not be the massive step, but it might be a little step. So listening to our body, listening to our heart, what is it that we actually want to be creating anyway? Okay. But honoring that we're human and course correcting accordingly. Because people think, in the book, I told this story. There was a story in the book where, I was so depressed, I couldn't get out of bed. And I forced myself to get out of bed. And I think I just changed my t-shirt so that when my girlfriend at the time came home, she wouldn't see that I'd been in bed all day, depressed, not wanting to move. And I said in the book, you probably think this was years ago. It wasn't. It was a couple of months ago. Oh my God, Daniel, but you're this and you're that. Yes, I still have to deal with depression from time to time. Yeah. Because I am human. I'm not switched on all the time. However, because I do the work, I'm resourced to be able to give myself space for it not to stop me. Maybe it slows me down, but slowed down is still movement in the direction that I've consciously chosen to chart for the vision for my life. So many people are not moving forward at all because they're judging themselves against other people by what they see on social media, what they read in books, what the latest guru is saying is the Dangle Dewberry Watts of the perfection is an illusion at this level of consciousness because we live in a contrast-driven. Physical reality literally exists because of the contrast between 2 polarities. There's nothing one-sided, there's nothing one way. However, when you're in your divinity operating from a level of truth, you can witness both sides of the polarity and enjoy the texture of it, but that's another conversation. Yes. Yeah. So listen, step 4 is about being human. So I want everyone to have that in mind. Going back to the beginning, it's accepting that we are the author and creator of our lives. We can throw away blame as much as we want, but all that happens when you throw away blame is that whatever unconscious program gave the blame away and created the thing that you're blaming someone else for, is going to keep playing out the same thing. Because when we push it away and say someone else is responsible, it doesn't negate our creation of our reality. It just robs us of the power to do something different about it. Everything in your reality is the product of your conscious and unconscious choices, intentions, and programming. And until you accept full responsibility, how can we accept that we can exercise agency that we're not accepting because we've given away with blame? When you think about it like that, it's ludicrous. How can I exercise agency that I've given away to my unconscious mind through blame of others, which at the end of the day are just holographic representations of what's going on inside of me anyway?
Exactly.
So step number 2, clear, is about recognizing that the only place that anything is real is now. So the only place I can do anything different is now. And so we're cutting the ties to the quote unquote past and quote unquote future, which are just projections and memories and aren't even real anymore, so that we can be present enough to do the work of creating something different in our life. Step 3, gratitude, was a game changer for me. Remember I told you the story about losing everything twice by the time I was 23?
Yes.
I had a model that I created before that was called vision, purpose, faith, gratitude. Clear vision, act with purpose every day, have faith that it's going to show up, and then live life with an attitude of gratitude. So gratitude was a thought. That was
Yeah.
what I was living before. However,
Mhm.
it didn't work because I lost everything twice. So there was something wrong with it.
Okay. All
And
right.
one of the key components was this, Anistara. Gratitude happens before and not after the event.
Mm.
Gratitude happens before, celebration happens afterwards.
Yes.
Gratitude is where the creation happens because I'm
Mm.
connecting so embodiedly, so with such certainty to an outcome that I'm ready to feel it in my body now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And reality is just like, well, hot damn, she's about her business. Here you go, mama. Here you go. Yes, queen. Click, 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 click,
Oh.
click. And that's what happens. So that's what gratitude's about. Developing a level of expectation for what we desire to such an extent that we feel it viscerally in our body. Not fake
Mm.
it till you make it,
Mhm.
not pretending it is now,
Mhm.
knowing it is here and
Knowing.
now,
Yep.
and living life accordingly.
Mm.
What would happen if you showed up? So one of the examples I was using, Amazon. When you
Yeah.
make an order from Amazon, does anybody email customer service immediately? Hi, I just ordered a dangle, Fubri, what's it? I just want to double check that you got the order. You got the confirmation email. Yeah, I know, but just want to make sure that your system has got it logged. Do we then call up and say, hey, I know I've got an order coming tomorrow before 8 o'clock, but what's the name of the delivery driver? What do they identify as? Where do they come from? How long have they had the driving license? What's the chassis number on the van? And by the way, what route are they coming on?
Yeah. What color is
Right,
the
I
truck?
know it's only 8 o'clock in the morning and he's out today, but I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. Because I picked my tarot this morning. I'm not really sure. There was something about
Uh-huh.
uncertainty. We don't do that. When are we going
Uh-huh.
to start giving the divine the same respect that we give to Amazon?
Mm.
When?
Right? Yeah. Well, now.
No, and that's
Right
gratitude.
now.
And we touched on this before, but that's beyond intention. It's a model that you can use to
Yeah.
unfold the life that you're in. And the reason why it says beyond intention is because the whole point is getting to the point where your program is such that we no longer need to set intentions because we're running on a program that's abundant, joyful, and purpose driven from the outset.
Hmm. Well put. Yes, preach it, brother. I love it. Amazing. And so today is, to me, one of my very special days. So I personally was born on 11 or at 11/12, basically. So I stepped through the 11/11 portal. And so my husband and I have been honoring this day for 12 years now. And we actually got remarried 11/11/11 and 11/11/2016. And so this is a very special day of unification. And you said the word celebration earlier. And so this is why I'm tying this in. So for the first 10 years, our 11/11 gathering was called 11/11 Unification Celebration. We literally were celebrating the fact that we were unified, right? And so when we speak of our present moment being an actual gift, what message is coming through for you right now in this present moment as a gift to our audience and our viewers?
It's all available. That's the first thing that came
Mm-hmm.
through. It's all available. Abundance is available, healing is available, love is available, fulfillment is available, purpose is available, passion is available, yumminess is available, sexiness is available, deliciousness is available. It's all available now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Calling it in, community, doing it all together right now, commanding it in this present moment, here and now. It is all available. That's perfect. I think that's the next title of your book. The next book. It's all available.
I'm in the middle of working out what the title is for the next book, so
Really?
it could very much be that. It could very much be that.
The present moment is a gift. It's all
Yeah,
available.
it's all available.
So, tell me a little bit more about your family. You mentioned that you have a new baby, and
Yes, yeah. I
yeah, I
don't
would
think you
love
can
to
hear, but
know a little bit
he's
more about
woken up
you.
from his nap and running around like a maniac at the moment. But it's really wild how much I've learned about compassion for
Yeah,
others by
yeah.
watching him. It was when I looked at him in his face and I was like, I don't remember learning to wave. He waved the other day.
Mm.
Bye bye. I said, what? Oh. And then I looked at all the things that I do. I was like, where did I learn? I don't remember saying my first word.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember learning to eat half a grape instead of a whole grape or half a tomato
Mm-hmm.
instead of a whole tomato. I don't remember any of that. And yet I'm embodying a person now that includes it.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the people who have done me wrong, my transgressors, the seeds for the person they are today were planted at a time that they can't even remember. And yet we're
Mm.
getting mad at them for the pain, for the trauma, for the environment that supported them being who they are, instead of showing them love and compassion.
Mm. 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 I must say, as a mother, that I've never experienced love like this before.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought I loved my partner, my husband, until
Mm-hmm.
I had my child.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty and the grace and the compassion and I mean, I will literally do anything for that little human being.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just feel like he is my guiding light. He is my
Mm-hmm.
guiding force. And so I try to explain the amount of love that pours through me with my child, to friends who don't have children, and it's hard to explain.
Yeah, it's hard.
And so, from a father's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what is it like to have this human being that you are assisting in cultivating who he will become?
I didn't get it.
Because we're birthing our new world, right? We want to know how to assist this new world to become, right?
I've got a lot of nephews and nieces. I've got over a dozen nephews and nieces.
Okay.
Some of my nephews and nieces are having kids. I was there when my nephew was born, and I thought I had a
Ah.
bond with him. I gave him his first kiss and his first hug. And then I have this little guy where I just have to look at his pictures. I've got like he's got this jumper thing he got in where he was learning to jump and be on his feet, and he'd go with it for ages, and then his little
uh,
and I find myself just playing it during the day and just being filled and overwhelmed with joy. I didn't get it. I think there are some
mm,
things, such as being an agent of the divine and bringing a new soul into manifested form, that just cannot be put into words and cannot be explained until we've experienced it.
yep.
That's it.
Yep. Yep. I feel like so much of who I am now, and my mission and my purpose and my passion evolved from becoming a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, some of what our collective is doing right now is we're birthing the new
Mm-hmm.
earth, right? We're moving
Mm-hmm.
through this portal into a new earth, into our higher octave frequency, into our 5D experience on planet earth, where everyone can survive, where we can be in harmony with the land and with the people, and everything just, um, as we said, can thrive. And so, what is some of your vision or prayer for our community as we're moving through this birth canal?
Mm-hmm. No
Yeah.
judgment for what it looks like,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and no judgment for you, of yourself for what you feel called to express as it's looking
Mm.
like what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends, Mira Kelly, she wrote a beautiful book called Beyond Past Lives, and beautiful book. Sold like 20 million copies. Amazing, amazing book. And there's a
Wow.
line in the book that I just love, and I quote it butcheredly probably, but time and time again. It says, "Do not be upset with your loved ones who do not accept the spiritual path in this lifetime. They could have done that 1,000 times and have come to witness something else."
Yeah.
And again, we're in this polarity driven construct where both sides exist. We're all
Mm-hmm.
just playing out roles that
Mm-hmm.
at a high level of consciousness we don't have the capacity to tap into at this level. Some people get glimpses of it. I read energy, I can do astral stuff and all the things. I
Mm-hmm.
can go and check Akashic records. I can do that. So I know that it
Mm-hmm.
exists. However, I'm still viewing it through my limited lens of the conscious human experience versus
Mm-hmm.
the fullness of unified consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So don't judge yourself for what it looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe you're watching this and you're trying to get down with it, it doesn't work for you. Stop fighting it. Do what your heart is called to do. Who knows what you've done 1,000 lifetimes before? Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
was making little wooden toys. Maybe it was being a divine guru. Who knows?
Mm.
Why not step fully and unashamedly and wholly and completely and lovingly and self-compassionately into what you're being called to do in this lifetime? That's what's going to unify us, right?
Mm-hmm.
More and more people honoring that divine encoding of what they're here to experience, and doing so with love and compassion, and recognizing this is all a game that none of us are even getting out of alive anyway.
Indeed. Yes, acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance is such a huge piece.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned earlier about the two sides, and then you went like this. And I'm just curious. I know that I've had a conversation recently with my friend Dawn and Trish Wright and their self love show, and we talked about the neutral observer. And so having that triangulation, having that trinity
Mm-hmm.
allows us to actually see more of the perspective. I don't even like to say two sides. But for instance, my son, there'll be times if Andrew and I are having a heated conversation, we're not even arguing. We're just like, we're activated by it. So our energy. Yeah, exactly. But he'll say, Mom, Dad, take a time out. You know, like he's that neutral observer for us, right? He loves us both. He supports us both. And he's just like, yeah, you guys need to just walk away for a minute. And so
I gotta meet this guy.
Right? Oh, let's do it. I'll come down to Cabo. We were actually there a couple of years ago. And so that third person perspective, that pull out perspective of being able to see the bigger picture of something. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So my friends Mira and Chris, I haven't got their book here, it's at the office, but they wrote a book called Relating Revolution. It Only Takes One to Change. And in that book, again, Mira and Chris, K-R-I-S, Kelkar, K-E-L-K-A-R. Amazing book. It's in my top 5 books I live by in terms of relationship and relating to humans. But one of the concepts that they teach about is something they call the third. And the third is that space between that also encompasses both. So for me, that neutral space is actually witnessing the wholeness that exists between those 2 points of polarity. So the triangulation is me almost looking down and seeing the whole thing versus seeing them as 2 separate things. It's one whole thing that's just life. It's just the event without the story. It just is. And when I'm able to do that and witness and celebrate it, even with the polarity, noticing that pain is just a signal and that suffering is a choice, that a transgressor is just playing out a role in a script that I've given them based on the space that I'm in terms of my vibrational state right now anyway, then I can hold both and I can love both. But it's witnessing the wholeness that includes all and stepping into observation from that space.
I love that. Yeah. And it is that pulled back perspective. I feel like when I had my Kundalini awakening, it was pretty instantaneous. It was about 15 years ago, and I won't go into the whole story right now. But ultimately, I was taken off planet, and I could see the frequency. I could see the vibration of the planet, and it's like suddenly getting the download of the whole story, right? Suddenly getting the download of, this is why we're here. I am a multidimensional being of like making a choice to come down to planet Earth during this time, a pivotal moment in human history as we evolve and awaken, and that I chose to be here. And so it's like, okay, what is my piece of the puzzle to come and bring and share with humanity? So feeling blessed in that, and to have you here today too. Is there anything else that you wanted to share as we come to a close soon?
Just take something away and let that thing be bathed in the fact that magic isn't magic. It's your natural state. Abundance isn't some extra special thing. It's your natural state. Alchemy isn't some unnatural process. It's the natural way that we're unfolding our reality around us all the time. Love isn't something that we need to crave. It's something that we get to be. Pain isn't something that we have to be subject to. It's just a signal that maybe we've got another choice that we get to make. So don't take this whole thing so seriously. Be love, be abundant, be yourself, make the divine choice and listen to the heart.
So beautiful. Thank you. I wanted to ask you too, how people can get a hold of you.
Best way is to check out my website, dreamwithdan.com. I've got free resources. I've got some visualizations there around abundance. We've got a cool little video I created called How to Be a Harmonious Money Magnet, which isn't about money, it's about abundance, but there we go. That's on the website too. My books are on there. I've got a couple of podcasts that I'm on. You can go and check those out. My social media, everything's on the website. Just one stop shop to get all the thing.
One stop shop. I love it. Now, I came across, I think it said abundance activation DNA.
Yes. So we've got an abundance visualization.
Okay.
And the really cool thing about this is it's like 3 minutes long, but the frequencies that it use tune in and activate your third center to bring power to it. There's a little bit of hypnotic chants in there as well with the way that the sound is done. So you can just drop that into your day on a regular basis, and it will start to create space for you to access more of your abundance and change that internal story. It won't do everything, There's still choices that you need to make. There's still an environment
Right?
for you to create, but it will support you on your journey. And it's a very, very short time commitment. You don't have to sit there for 3 hours in a particular mantra. It's about 3 minutes long.
Mm,
Throw that into the
mm,
mix and see what happens.
I love that. And tell us the name of your book again.
I've got Stepping Beyond Intention. Stepping
Okay.
Beyond Intention. But if they go to the book page on my website, that and all the books I've written are up
And
there.
they can find it there too.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. And I'm sure you're going to have some kind of giveaway or freebie or
Yeah,
something
there's some
here on
stuff
this
there. Yeah,
page,
yeah, there's some stuff
right?
there.
You can
Yeah,
actually find links to
yeah,
Dream with Dan on the actual page that this
yeah.
presentation is on.
Mhm.
And yeah, oh, I'm so grateful that Lee Davy introduced us,
Yeah, I
brother.
love that
Thank
guy.
you.
He's just a rock
Yeah.
star. I love him so
Oh,
much.
he really is. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Unified Alliance, Lee Davy, that's who we're referring to. And thank you so much for your time today. So, so grateful.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this
Yeah.
beautiful space. And thanks everyone for watching and listening and giving your time and allowing us to be in this space to co-create with you.
The gift of the present together.
Most certainly.
Thank you, family, for being with us. Create a beautiful day.